Welcome to Planning Ahead with CMS. In this episode, we'll provide a high-level overview of EIAs, and in the next 2 episodes, we'll look in more detail at the problem areas of EIAs and what information must be included in an environmental statement. So what is an EIA? EIA is the process that requires the collection, consideration and publication of information about the environmental impact of a proposed development. It is done so that the decision-making authority can account for the likely significant impact developments may have before granting a consent. A key part of an EIA is the environmental statement. This document outlines the findings of the EIA and can often be thousands of pages long. It's submitted to the decision-making authority with the application for consent. So when do you need an EIA? Developments that fall within the regulations require an EIA, and the regulations contain 2 lists. Developments that fall under list 1 must carry out an EIA, and these are usually over a particular size and include things such as power stations, airports, motorways and water treatment plants. Schedule 2 is a bit more complicated. Developments in Schedule 2 may need an EIA if the development is in a sensitive area, for example an area of special scientific interest, or if it meets the threshold criteria set out in Schedule 2. These are known as exclusion thresholds and criteria. Some examples of development covered by Schedule 2 are wind farms, factories, car parks and shopping centres. Assessments are made on a case-by-case basis with the aim to determine if the development is likely to have a significant impact on the environment. Factors taken into account are things like its location, the size of the development and its nature. Developers can specifically request that the decision-making authority gives an indication as to whether an EIA is needed for a development. This is known as a screening decision. The developer is responsible for carrying out the EIA, and the process of determining issues to be considered in the EIA is called scoping. Developers can ask for guidance from the decision-making authority on what may be included in the EIA process. This guidance is known as a scoping opinion, and it is usually given by the decision maker on request from the developer. Once the assessment has been carried out, the developer will prepare the environmental statement in accordance with the scoping opinion. The specifics of what is included is determined by the most recent scoping process. And generally, the statement itself is made up of a series of reports that are compiled by various specialist environmental consultants, for example, marine biologists or sociologists. The statement does not need to contain all of the information gathered by this expert, but it must summarise the main or likely significant effects of the development on the environment. The decision maker might always request additional information is included in the environmental statement after it's been submitted. This can happen even if that information wasn't initially requested in the scoping opinion that they issued. There's no specific prescribed format for an environmental statement, but the information must be located in one place, in an accessible way, and include non-technical summaries. Environmental statements are a hotbed for judicial review if they're not drafted properly. It is highly recommended that developers have a legal review of the environmental statement before submitting it to make sure it's compliant with the regulations. Environmental statements must also be published. This is so that the public is given the opportunity to participate in the decision-making process and to ensure that they have enough time in order to prepare properly before the decision is made. To achieve this, the environmental statement and other information is delivered to the consenting authorities and any statutory consultation bodies that are relevant to the application. It's also published in a local newspaper, on a site notice at the development site, and made available in a printed format somewhere, often a local library or town hall, so people can see what's in it. For more information on EIAs, please feel free to get in touch with one of our team members and tune in to our next episode where we'll be talking about some of the problem areas with EIAs.